I've not been held against my will or anything, but I've played a gacha game for a full year now today. One login every single day, and now I can finally get my 1-year anniversary plaque. Oh my fucking god. That took way longer than expected, and I so do not recommend any of what I did. Let's tackle why I did this to begin with. Back in May 2021, I stumbled onto a pre-register for a game that I took an interest in. It piqued my interest because in its ads it showed some rather impressively detailed combat, compared to other gacha games at the time which had rather impressive character designs, but not good animations nor details in their moment-to-moment gameplay. Fast forward a month, and I'm playing the game and generally enjoying it, playing through the story and reading guides to build the best teams and so on and so forth. I actually got pretty lucky, all things considered, as for the first few banners, I managed to snag the banner unit within 5 rolls, which is unprecedented. For the uninitiated, a banner is usually referring to a limited time event for you to grab a target character at a better rate than normally you would get. I couldn't be this lucky forever, and eventually when the first skins came out, I finally pulled the trigger and purchased a subscription which was and still is the best value for money for currency, which again has absolutely no use buying things which also have no use. This allowed me to purchase the monthly pass I wanted, giving me early access to a better unit. Not long after, I purchased a different, cheaper subscription too, which gave me much more of the free currency, letting me purchase tickets for an expensive gacha, which occurred weekly. This marked the beginning of a dark path I walked for a while, leading me to finally dumping nearly $40 on a one-time purchase for enough pulls to get the newest OP character. I had fallen for loss aversion, which is defined by real or potential loss being perceived by individuals as psychologically or emotionally more severe than an equivalent gain. The fear that I might not be able to get my shiny new character made me more susceptible to purchasing the expensive pack, and although I might have been manipulated into thinking that way, it was still my own decision, and it's important to own up to that and get better at resisting the allure to spend. To quote Christopher Hovermail at Destructoid, "The problem remains relevant to hundreds of thousands of whales who will buy as many pulls as it takes to obtain their target. And hey, if you have the money to spare and if you enjoy spending it on this kind of stuff, there's no problem in that by itself. But that brings us to the bigger ethical questions. Do you actually have the money to spare, and do you actually enjoy spending it?" To answer Christopher's question, I did have the money to spare, and in hindsight, no, I didn't actually enjoy spending it. I've seen gacha game apologists who argue that gacha games in moderation are fine, but the problem with that argument is that most gacha games are made in a way to entice you to keep playing day in, day out, with predatory daily attendance sheets and quests that refresh on a 24-hour timer. It's incredibly easy to fall into a slippery slope till the only way to stop playing is to leave a huge chunk of your time and life behind and move on. The underlying issue is that although anything played in moderation is fine, gacha games are deliberately predatory and want you to play them more and more, which ultimately defeats the purpose of playing in moderation, because only the players that obsessively spend more and more time on the game actually reap the most rewards. One of the main driving forces of purchases is to get more skins. The target demographic is very obviously males aged 15 to 25, judging by the amount of skin and boobs shown in the many skins they sell. The main sticking point is that anime is specifically designed to appeal to the male gaze. An excerpt from A Billion Wicked Thoughts reads, "One type of erotic art has risen to unchallenged dominance across all wired nations: Japanese anime. The typical anime female is a high school teenager. She has large, baby-like eyes emulated by Lady Gaga in her Bad Romance video. Her voice is extremely high-pitched. She frequently wears school uniforms, complete with pleated skirts, vests, and saddle shoes. She is often sexually inexperienced and reacts with embarrassment at the mention of sex, indicated by reddening cheeks. Yet, despite all these vivid cues of youth, she is drawn with impossibly large breasts, a perfectly round and firm butt, a low waist to hip ratio, and small feet. In other words, the internet's most popular visual erotic art contains supercharged versions of all the male visual cues. This probably explains why many men are Shaddai philiacs, sexually attracted to animated characters. Welcome guys to Let's React to another Circle Jerk, episode number 705.
If your anime waifu is underage, you're a sick creep and should be locked up.
Okay. Why is he smoking in his own house? I guess there's nothing wrong with him, but still. Oh, okay. He's got some moves. Wait, that was a 5-year-old in there. Who wants to make a 5-year-old their wife? What? There was a 5-year-old in there. Oh, low blow. Why is he like periodically taking his fucking shirt off? At least he's honest about it. What? He's just got a picture of him posing with guns. Like if you talk shit and criticize his waifus, he'll come over and kill you with his guns? What? So homie did me dirty. I kept digging, and apparently, as far as I can tell, he literally made like Microsoft Sam, text-to-speech, whatever the fuck, put a blank text box with "if your anime waifu is underage" over the original video of somebody doing just a 02 cosplay. It was like, can you hold eye contact? I don't know how to explain this. He literally pretended a random cosplayer on TikTok said this so that he could reply to himself. He literally replied to his own argument. And then he created a diss track. He's an outrage merchant. He makes up fake people that he can be rude towards so that people will be angry at him and give him attention. Jesus, and I fucking fell for it. Can you believe that? This is exactly what he wants. And also, isn't an obsessive hatred with anime the same as an obsessive liking of anime? They essentially function to create the same thing, which is attention on anime itself. And also, I think it's more important for us to be focusing on the systematic dumbing down of all our characters' ages, because that was a lot of characters who are underage, and that doesn't come as like that raises some red flags about what the industry is doing. I think it's more of a systematic issue, and we should be going after the people who decide to make our main characters 16 instead of the people who like them because, they look good. The bottom line is, I stopped playing because I genuinely wanted to, because it was what I'd been doing for the past several months with no real goal. It no longer was a form of escape, but rather an obligation. Any game played to an insane degree eventually needs something to spice it up, whether it be speedrunning or modding. It's just that in the case of most gacha games, it's spending money to buy skins and exploiting your brain to get quick dopamine hits that become less and less effective, meaning you have to spend more and more to get the same result.
Look at me. Put the wallet away. Credit card. Stop. No. You cannot be sacrificing your dinners for a PNG. Stop.
But I just can't bash a game I played for a full year without stopping, while having some self-awareness and seeing why I, a person who knew all of this going in, still had an overall enjoyable time playing the game. The main selling point for me is the story. I honestly had a blast with the world that Counterside exists in, and I think the characters are, if not original, well written enough to keep me waiting for the next chapter of their story. And like I said, it's a gacha game. Most of the skins are incorporated into event stories, as well as banners running alongside their event counterparts, to entice you into getting that sweet new S-tier character that'll surely become a core part of your already bloated roster. It doesn't detract from my personal enjoyment of the game, but I'm sure some of you dislike getting blatantly advertised to. The other reason is the combat. The game functions as a sort of single-lane Plant vs. Zombie-esque tower defense game, where your towers push towards the enemy base in order to destroy it. It operates on a 4-way roll advantage, with classes doing more or less damage to their advantaged or disadvantaged opponent. For example, a tank would do more damage to a sniper by default, whereas a sniper would deal more damage to a striker by default. It's an easy system to understand and very satisfying to game once you get the hang of it, leading you to construct entire teams to steamroll one specific boss that's difficult for you to handle. I'd say the combat is probably what kept me going overall, since it is very satisfying and actually surprisingly well animated. Now, I'm going to take a good, long break from gambling games, and, you know what, play something fun, like Stanley Parable. Nah, I'd probably play some obscure indie game.
This was the one that emptied bank accounts. Yeah, no, I see it. I see it, 100%.